All right, so, I innocently went into a lot of things, not drug addiction, but spirituality and stuff. And then when I heard about this idea, the same innocence or the same assumptions were in place. So it was sort of like, how am I going to take advantage of this idea to make Paul travel better? Yes? So the basic assumption was in place. And then I heard some radical ideas like, there is no person. Yeah? And so some people, wouldn't give you any edge as soon as you just said, but what if there is no I? Yeah? And so I liked that idea. That was pretty cool. But then I noticed that there was still a sense of being you, hearing you're not you. Yeah? And it didn't matter how fast it was or slow it was or close or far. That sense of you was produced before you heard anything, in a sense. It isn't really, but it seemed like it, yeah? Because it's got a weird production. The sense of you comes after the hearing, but says it's before the hearing. So factually, it's not before the hearing, but it's not based on facts. It just implies it's before the hearing. So when I hear I'm not that, you need to know how the system is going to co-opt that. So it's not going to be a very clear, clean message where, I'm a lion and you're a lion to a lion from a lion should be pretty clear, pretty quick. Yeah, it wouldn't take much, and then you'd get on with living as a lion. Yeah, you wouldn't be, I don't know, maybe you'd have to hear it every 5 years. I don't think so, but, the maintenance requirements wouldn't be much because the message was basically implying a fact. You're a lion, yeah? And if you are a lion, it shouldn't take much to have that hit. Yeah, it's not like a far-off target you're hoping to smart bomb it, It's like, you're a lion, I'm a lion, let's go, Just move on, have a nice day as a lion, or have a bad day as a lion. But see, the nice and bad day wouldn't affect that you're a lion, It may affect the lion seemingly, but it wouldn't affect the basis that you're a lion. Yeah, so whatever happened wouldn't be able to, let's say, knock that apple cart over. Yeah, because there would be a fact, just like I had the experience of it in addiction and recovery, where I was struck sober, and there was a clear fact that came up, which was, I'm not managerial quality. Yeah, this, to be led by this is no form of leading, and it never changed. I didn't have to review it every month or every week. It seemed to stabilize. I didn't even know I had the ability to be convinced, but it showed me over time I do have this ability to be convinced of a fact, really. The fact was, I'm not managerial quality. The reaction to that wasn't factual. It was all based on assumptions and supposings and believing I had power where I didn't have power, and it caused a lot of confusion and disassociation, because I would want to go somewhere and I would end up in jail. It would just seem to be such a weird divergence that I couldn't get over that speed bump. But so here's the message: you're a lion. I'm a lion from a lion. Yeah, and then let's go bye-bye. It's not really a big business plan. I'm in the business of informing a lion it's a lion. It's probably going to be a short-lived business. There's so many lions, and so it's not like you're a lion and then next week you got here. I don't believe that. I really don't. Yeah. So I think it gets in there. So for me, the importance isn't the message you're a lion, it's how it gets obscured. Yeah, because I think the lion can be said in a lot of different ways, and you may be attracted to someone who's slow or someone who's this or someone who's that, but it doesn't matter, because what's causing it not to get through to the lion, even though you would think hearing about itself as itself would be pretty clear. Yeah, maybe it had a vague, I don't really know, but then it would, if it heard a description of what it was, it would probably, oh yeah, I'm that. Yeah. So usually that's the first movement of teaching is, all right, let's describe to the lion what it's like to be a lion. Now that, to me, has proven to be faulty, because the idea of being the sheep is so much faster than the sense of being the lion. So now you're talking through the sheep trying to get to the lion. I don't think it's gone well, really. I think it's set off a lot of sheep to go on a journey to become a lion. And it hasn't, it's worked for some people who maybe are supervising that drive, you know, or playing to that drive, but hearing about it's a lion as a sheep doesn't go anywhere. I just don't feel it. You check it out yourself. I mean, you can go test the wares, hear it, and hear what triggers it. And if what you hear seems to have a little weird roadblock, I'm sharing you the roadblock, because I've seen it myself in my own experience and in watching others, because I get the privilege to speak at a lot of different quote-unquote spiritual groups. And the obscuring of the message is really the most important message, really, to me. I mean, there's a lot of nice messages, but the real important message is what the hell is obscuring the hearing of the message? Because it's not rocket science. It's not like building a car out of nothing. It's like your inherent state is your inherent state, or the inherent state. You're not like giving you a far-fetched idea. You're this fucking unicorn, mythical creature that breathes, you know, lived on no, you're a lion, yeah? So, I mean, it's not that hard, really. But if you spend time talking to the sheep about being a lion, the sheep can only translate it as, I can become like a lion, which is the biggest obscuring agent that a lot of people don't see. They just don't see it. I've seen a lot of pros, spiritual pros, come to these talks, and they haven't seen that. They haven't seen the co-opting of the message, yeah? So they know all there is consciousness and this and that, but they're knowing it as what they're not, in a way. It's resting, that knowledge is not resting in what they are, it's resting on what they're not, yeah? And so, because that's the case, the knowledge doesn't fulfill the fucking journey. It doesn't translate into a real ease and comfort. Now they know what they are. They have a deep understanding from thousands of years of expositions and commentaries on what we are, but there's still some obscuring agent. Even in the acquiring of knowledge of what they are is getting obscured. Yeah, it's such a trippy move, yeah, because your own studying causes the obscuring. That's why it's best to just send the interest and attention around the corner for a fucking, let's say, 40 years, really, and you would probably be more at peace than if you were studying about being at peace. I saw it in my own experience, that my own vested interest, not my own, but the vested interest of Paul was the biggest deterrent. Yeah, wanting to have peace is the biggest obscuring of the possibility of enjoying peace of mind. You're wanting to enjoy peace of mind is what you're not. It obscures the whole idea of peace. Because first of all, it's not rocket science. What you're not is based on time. Peace is not based on time. If peace is seen as based on time, you're going to be worried that it may not be peaceful tomorrow. That's not peace. That's conditional. Yeah. Once again, it's held ransom by a concept. All right, I'm feeling good now. This happens at so many talks. The world starts after but, B-U-T. So someone's sharing, oh, it's so really nice here. I'm feeling so great. But when I go to work next week, all right, see, as soon as now the peace is lost because it may not be there next week. Where's that from? That's not from what you are. What you are in a mimicking is more like when you were a kid. Were you worried about playing next week? When you didn't have any idea of next week. Yeah? So you weren't like, while you were playing, will I be playing? You didn't have that yet. You were just playing. Yeah? There wasn't like, I can't enjoy the playing because I may not be playing next week. Isn't that what's happened? So this is you. It's so. We just point it out every week. I don't care about the beauty of the message. What I care is what's hearing it, because it doesn't freaking matter. If what's hearing it is the hearer of the message, it neuters the message. It doesn't surrender itself and fit into the message. He neuters the message to fit into itself. Yeah? And then once again, the message gets drenched in time, and you become incredibly relevant for the message to appear clear. You have to be purified. You have to be vigilant. You have to maintain. It's all on you once again. All about you, the you that you're not. It renders itself extremely relevant in its ability to obscure you from what's going on. It's us that's obscuring us. It's not the you. The you is used for it. Yeah? The you is the curtain material, but the mind draws it. The mind causes it to seem to obscure the truth. If you don't see that, you're going to be looking from its effect. And yet many of us have for years without even knowing it. Then we heard a certain message, and then we tried to do the same methodology, and we fell into the spiritual holes. So you become a professor of holes to do what? Not to fall into holes. And maybe the knowledge of holes you can share with others who seem to be entertaining the same possibility as the same what we're not, really. And you can just inform them, hey, I would check this out. Yeah? Because you're not exempt from the robbery. You're not exempt from Huang Po talking to you about you can't use the Buddha, to seek the Buddha. Would he say that if you were anything other than the Buddha? Of course not. He wouldn't say that to Paul or Jim or Mary. He didn't see Paul, Jim, and Mary. He saw the Buddha, and he was trying to get through the fucking obscuring agent of Jim, Bill, and Mary. I want to hear the message. That fucking thing is the biggest opaqueness, trying to get it through to the Buddha. The spiritual subpoena, you're not served. That what you are is served. To see what you're not while you're sitting here. So, because what you're not is what's looking for the Buddha as the Buddha. Huang Po wasn't giving a weird freaking metaphysical, thumper, whatever. It was just saying the obvious. Hey, Jim, Bill, Mary, Sue, aka Buddha, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Why is that? Well, because you're the Buddha. So if the Buddha searches for the Buddha, it would be implying it's not the Buddha by the searching for the Buddha. You don't need semantical professor to explain that. If that which you are is looking for that which you are, it must be believing it's not that which it is. Or why would it seek for it? I mean, it's fundamental 101, it's not like a high master degree. Yeah, if I'm looking for something like my keys, I must not think I have them, though they're in my pocket. I already assumed I looked in my pocket, which I haven't, and so I'm looking all over for the freaking keys, and this is not the first time, it's like the 800th time, or maybe in the thousands. So people who are near me, who know me, just watch my 360s, and then there's the keys. It goes, there's this big, I've lost my keys, but I haven't lost the keys. Yeah. I just can't remember where I put them, but the keys haven't moved. The keys here's my chance, and they ran away. Like my dog. It got away from the leash. No, the keys are just where I put them, but I don't remember where I put them. Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, the not remembering what you are is in place as you. The not remembering of what you are is appearing as you. Right now, does that mean it appears? No, it's appearing. It could be appearing to what you are as you. It is, but then if what you are believes it, then it seems to be you that's having all the appearances. That's the way it goes. It's dreaming. There's a little bit, it's sort of like, when they have in the science fiction movies, this one spaceship locks onto the other spaceship, and they have to sort of decompress the little tunnel before they go in, or they get sucked out into space. So there is this thing before, yeah, you know it. You know before Paul gets catapulted into the story of Paul, yeah. You know it. You know it. That's what the target is. That knowing before you're wanting to know, yeah. Or having the knowledge, or thinking you've lost the knowledge, or you need to gain knowledge. That knowledge before that, that's where you rest, yeah? That's where what you are rests. It's not you having to go rest in it. It's what you are is resting there. Because what movement would be that thrilling and everywhere? Yeah? It's not going anywhere. So you can see a lot of activity, but there's deep rest in it because it isn't going anywhere. So what happens, simply, this is simply it, yeah? The seeing, which we are, awareness, yes, is now cast in this dream of time, and it becomes a form of looking, yeah? So we're using the seeing because we believe it's us looking to find the seeing. So St. Francis says, what's looking, which isn't you, what's looking is the seeing, is what you are looking for as the seeing. Really, he didn't say that, but that's what it's like, right? So there's seeing, awareness, and then there's the you that's looking for, so the seeing gets claimed as being an attribute you have. Now you're using the awareness to find the awareness, or like using the Buddha to seek the Buddha, or using light to seek light, or using mind to seek mind. And as Huang Po said, very, very mercifully, you can do it for eons and nothing's going to happen. Really, eons. Not even a couple weeks, eons. So, yeah. Why? Because the seeing is being interpreted as you looking, and you're using the seeing interpreted as you looking to look for the seeing. If that hits you, if it fits, you wear it. That's the essence of non-duality to me. If it doesn't hit, it will, sooner or later. Yeah. You can't miss everywhere. You just throw it. One of them, it lands like, the magnet on the refrigerator. There it is. So every morning you see it. Oh, there's that little thing I got from Hawaii. It's hanging on the refrigerator. Yeah, so you can't miss it. You just sort of put out the spiritual shoes, and if they fit, you wear them for a while, and they will inform you, I believe, mostly about what you're not, tell you the truth. They'll tell you what you're not, which is, there'll be a description of the activities that are being used to imply a you. You'll see them, but you'll never see the you. You'll never see that which they're implying. You'll see the implying, and that's what will end right there. You'll see the implying and know what's there when it ends you. So the whole audience of the mental state is you. It's trying to convince you, like we say in recovery, an acronym for fear, false evidence appearing real. It's basically doing that all day. The mental state is offering false evidence, truly because of about being you, really. And then from that being taken to be so, a lot of other false evidence appears real to the false evidence of you. Yeah? So the system itself reinforces the original false evidence. Yeah? So all the narration is used to reinforce the one. Yeah? So we can sit there and become very clear to all the false evidence that's appearing real to us, but we don't see where the original false evidence. Yeah? So now we become very clear, seeing fear and everything, but we're the cause of it all. So you have this assumption you're going to have stabilized, long-lasting relief, and you don't, because you're basing on something that doesn't have any lastability and is not stabilized. Yeah? So you catch everything, but you don't catch that which is catching everything. You got to let it go back farther. The aperture doesn't stop here. Wherever your head is assuming it is, you're that seeing of it. You're always before it, or if you want to call it behind it. If you're looking from here, it's like behind it. If you're looking for what's happening in manifestation in time, you're before it. So wherever, whatever flagpole that has your little happy face flying on, oh, I'm so fucking clear and happy today, there's a seeing of that. The whole narration of the landing on the moon is not from the moon's view. You're before it, yeah? You're always before it. So you need 3,800 examples? Maybe only one will do. If you get the flavor of it, it's a mechanical like glitch. It doesn't have 800,000 different glitches. It just goes, whatever comes after is implied to be before. There are verbs happening, but I'm going to say they imply a noun, and now the noun's going to claim being the doer of all the verbing. So it takes life is happening and turns into life's happening to me. It's like a quick little interpretive event, and then it just piles on, really. Yeah. So you lose the sense of life's happening, and you're willing to pay money to feel it. You fucking jump off bridges with bungee cords and, shoot coke in your neck. You just want a huge rush just to give a feeling like, fucking, I'm alive, Because this thing is the same old. Do a journal, watch. We used to say, do these inventories, so it would be, I'm afraid of, and then just change different topics, But you look every year, I'm afraid of. So the basic is, I'm afraid of, really. Really, it's like you're categorizing a species, so you see all the frogs, but the thing is, I'm afraid of is the basis. I'm afraid of, and then on and on and on and on. So how can I cut down all these things I'm afraid of, but never questioning the basis of what the fuck or who's the fuck afraid of? Is that a basis that's true and honest, or is it a mental little bastardization? Maybe you could be on having never left would be the basis, or hey, I'm in good hands basis. Oh, I'm trusting something infinite rather than finite self. Hey, there's no sweat, I can make it through this day. Maybe these bases. There's other basis, but if you don't see it's just a made-up basis, you'll call it you. So you are that which is afraid of being left, not being left, afraid of being married, not afraid of not being married, it just plays on both sides, but it's always you. You're always the axis of the teeter-totter, yeah? I don't want this, I want only this, so then you run up there and it's that. You don't understand your role here. You're giving everything all the meaning it has. You're not skipping out of here with irresponsibility and powerless. You're fucking dreaming. You're the dreaming of this place. That's got some juice behind it. Yeah. So for me, I heard the message, head bastardized it for a few years. Yeah. Try to use it to get out of responsibilities. Oh, I'm not Paul. Hey, why didn't you call me? There's no Paul to call you. There's no Paul. But the court dates, don't forget that you have a court date. People you owe money to, don't forget you owe the money. Oh, there's no one here to owe money. Well, yes, there is. In their view. So then, thank God it grew out of it. Yeah. And then it did. It grew out of it. And then when that seethe of claiming it and trying to use it dropped off, nothing. It was really awesome. So then you realize you can't make it, manufacture it, suck something out of it. It's just fitting yourself around it, the idea, and just letting the idea soak you, So if I'm not that, then whose life is it anyway? Things start happening like that. And then the logic of the whole system, instead of going through each little move of the system, the basis of it is seen to be insane. Yeah. So you stop, and then your life gets readjusted out here, but that's not the point. It's what's happening, whatever. Yeah. And then, like Zen would say, blue is red is red. You stop looking for what can't be found. You have the ability to enjoy peace of mind because you're not stuck in time as much. Yeah. You realize all this is dreaming. Yeah. Are you going to take something so seriously that's going to end in 80 years anyway? Seriously. And if you're the center of the universe, it's amazing the center of the universe is out to lunch for at least 8 hours every day. So 1/3 of the day, the center of the universe is asleep. So you must not be a huge cog in the whole event, in a sense as this. Yeah. So you can actually experience the sense of not taking yourself so seriously, which you can't produce as self. Self trying to not take itself seriously is taking itself seriously. You cannot get out of that which is playing God by playing God. No fucking way. So when it says you got to quit playing God, it doesn't work, you better look at, hey, what is playing God? It seems like the head is. So I'm not that which is playing God. That's how you get out of playing God. But if that which is playing God tries to quit playing God, that's playing God ad infinitum. Every time it tries to quit playing God, that's playing God. You can't get out of self as fucking self. You have to see you're not in it. That's all. Yeah? Why can't you see it? It's clear. It's only you're trying to see it, you're not in it as what's in it, really. So there's one of the other things you got to point out. The dreamt starts hearing that it's the dreaming, and then it just fucking bastard. Then it wants 50 Cadillacs, and new knee joints, and everything should go great. I should have white teeth forever and fucking hearing. It construes as the dreaming. I get everything I want as the dreamt. No, you don't talk to the dreamt about the dreaming. You talk to the dreaming about the dreamt. It's the exact same situation, but there's hopefully a certainty that it's pointless to talk to you about the Buddha. So now there's a talking to the Buddha about you. That to me is a fundamental sound satsang meeting. Everything else I think is a deviation, to tell you the truth. So, yeah. Because you're going to wake up to it sooner or later. You want to spend 30 years and realize, Jesus Christ, I'm not that, or maybe hear it for 30 years and then it would be, because if you hear it after 30 years, I'm not that, it's going to be, I'm not that. No, I'm not that. Factual. It's no big deal because it's going to keep appearing. It's going to keep saying what it says. But I'll tell you, man, the audience can walk out of the movie. It can. You can just sort of lose interest in the film and concentrate on the popcorn and shit. And you just sort of, you'll just travel later. Because that urge to get out of it is not from what you are, it's from what you're not. What you're not knows if it tries to get out of what it's not in, that's the bigger in. Yeah? So it acts like, oh, there's an exit. It's just another entrance. And it knows it quite well. Yeah? It's made up the map. It has you in this little labyrinth that, oh, someday, when you meet certain requirements that are like the stock market, they just change every second. When you meet, then you'll enter, then the exit will say entrance or whatever. No, it's all bullshit. Might as well travel nice, just as you seem to be. Because you're not going to get out of what you're not, as what you're not. No fucking way. Yeah. So, then, for me, it was like a new like oxygen. And that was acceptance. The urban renewal project was stopped. I have reached a pretty good maintained level of okayness as a physicality. I'm not robbing houses and fucking, fornicating on the side and lying to people and doing shit like that all day and having 8 different lives, None of that shit. It would be too much effort, really. Can you imagine when you live on a lie, you gotta keep lying. It demands so much work. When you just tell the truth, you can forget everything. You just fuck it, that's the way it is, and move on. Yeah, it's all that, oh, I'm having 5 affairs. I say, I'm sorry, bro. That's a lot of fucking work. 5 affairs, getting calls from each one. I got it going on. Do you really? I don't know. It's not attractive to me. Doesn't it feel like if there's no connection, it's even more empty than before? Yeah, and what we're humbly speaking, in a way with technology, because I experienced it in cocaine use. I started to live out my mental fantasies, yeah? I'm so happy I didn't have porno videos and shit on my iPhone. Just once I came up with, and lived them all out, but without love or connection, they were empty as hell. I felt so fucking empty in comparison to a hopeful fullness I thought I would have. Not the emptiness of what we speak of, but the emptiness comparative to fullness. Yeah? The more I tried to fill myself up, the emptier I felt. Yes? Huh. So if I could put it in one way, it would be, instead of looking for what you are from what you're not, you would see what you're not, looking for what it is from what you are. That's all. Yeah. You don't believe, see, there's this idea that two things can't happen at the same time. That's bullshit. Yeah. In timelessness, something's always happening, and in time, other things are appearing to happen. This doesn't override this. This intersects this all the time. So in a sense, there are two, you can see the same thing in two different ways, more than two different ways, but you can see it from what I'm not, after running the gamut of trying everything, is now in pursuit of what it is, by looking for what it is as a conceptual love, or my authentic self, or just like a nice part of you on steroids, these just conceptual projections of some arrival point as what you're not. Instead of looking from there at everything, you see it as another point. Yeah. So you see what you're not, in this example, looking for what it is. You see it from what you are. And the absurdity of the statement, you can't use the Buddha to sink. The Buddha sinks in. It's fucking hilarious when it's described exactly what's been happening for like 20 years. It's freaking pretty funny. Yeah. I feel so. It's hilarious. You get caught with your pants down, then you see everyone with their, even hitched up as high as they can be, their old pants are all down. Yeah. Just fucking, it's cool, it's all right. You're not going to get there. It's fine. Yeah, it's not because of you. The race isn't rigged. You can't arrive at where you already are. It's fundamentally impossible. Even with time and the modes of forgetting that, you still can't arrive there, because even if you seem to arrive there in time, when you do, it tells you it's always been this way. So basically, the whole story, when you arrive at the goal of the story, is blown out of the water by the goal of the story. So you arrive at that which you thought was this, and then when you arrive at it, it goes, hey, it's always been this way. I had it was one time. I swear, it was so beautiful. I was having an operation on my leg, this bad leg. I had these rods in there to hold it in place for a couple of years. They, like Frankenstein, but they went out farther. I had 3 of them holding it, because there was nothing else. It had to be held like a rector-set way. There was nothing to grab onto. So it was there, and they were going to take them out finally. So they built a little wall, and they gave me a local anesthesia, and I was awake here on the other side. Everyone was busy there. I couldn't see it. They don't want you to visually see it, or your mind would imagine it. But you hear it. You hear the thing going, being pulled out, like a nail out of wood, So you're sitting there, and I'm looking, and there's one of those big aluminum bowls with the lights in, yeah, to make the most reflection. I'm looking at it, and I see all these people there, and I'm hearing, and my head, something happened, and it was just one of those interruptions. But this one was drenched with like lovey, like very, like just gooey love feeling. It's unusual for me. That's not my, That's not the store I'm usually directed to. But there it was. And then as soon as the head tried to regroup, it had humility, because when it did, it said, you know what? No matter what I had to go through all these years, it was worth it just for this moment.
Wow.
Yeah. It was just so beautiful. Just a nanosecond. No one noticed it. The whole place didn't stop. Like J.P. Morgan says. No, it wasn't like Mr. Gadana says. No, it was just one of those moments that leaves a huge mark, but there's no mark in anyone else's notebook. Yeah, just like that. It's so incredible. Then, they packed me up, took me to my room again. But, you know what? Can you imagine if you got, through your life, if you got, a telegram, and then a telegram, hey, you know what? It's all cool. You know what I mean? All your sins have been annulled. Yeah, can you imagine? ... yourself, really. It was like one of those. It was just one of those beautiful free samples. But the free samples, you don't want to keep going to the counter and stealing the samples. You want to subscribe. The samples aren't for the sample's sake. They're not like gathering up a lot of free samples, but it's going to build in. It's not going to build into anything. They're meant to, what does the sample imply? Yeah. Move on from the samples and then let the basis become norm. Yeah. Much wiser. So, yep. I don't know how many we share, but a lot of I've seen a lot of the ways that the system regroups and then starts another journey from where you are to some other mythical place. Yeah. Yet all the while, it can't override the fact of what you are. Its whole basis of what you're not is rooted in the fact of what you are. Yeah. Therefore, all of the shenanigans can't move what you are, can't replace it. Even the huffing, puffing, and time, and all the shit it's made up to sort of make what's so seemingly not so, it can't produce that effect. It always overrides everything. Always. Without any effort or thought. It's just there. Ultimately, always there. Never will not be there. I mean, what a place to rely on. A non-place. So, I mean, if you got a taste of something, for 3 seconds, don't you think you could leap into imagining the whole pie? I mean, I don't see why you want to keep the ability to entertain so limited. You taste something and then let it go. I mean, that's what the spiritual shoes are about. You put them on, if they fit, they show you miles and miles and miles of information about how you've been traveling and as what. Yeah? They show you the tail of the imaginary comet that you've been obsessing over. Not you, but mind. Yeah, it shows you, and so you don't need the whole thing. If you saw a description of a little part of it, it can imagine the whole. Mind is unbelievable. It doesn't need much to open. Boom. Yeah. So, and then if it's in your own stadium, it's going to have the most convincing effect than having someone talking to you or sitting next to you, or all the pictures surrounding you in your room. It would do a whole lot more than all of that's doing. Yeah, because it would be in your own gut. Yeah, you would know it before knowing it, and it would be like an unspoken yes, just reverberating. And to me, in time, it's the last answer, which is mind-boggling. Because every answer I ever ran into usually had other answers I needed to get. Yeah? But this ended all need for any other answer concerning this topic, which is awesome. I haven't been asked a question about this for 17, 18 years. That's not bad, eh? I have a lot of questions about you. Yeah. I have no questions about it. Why would you? If you know feeding the question and it doesn't go anywhere, don't you see the futility of advancing its knowledge about what it is as what it's not? You want to go into a starving mode, so that you get left, you leave it to its own devices, so that you see they're not your devices. And if they're not your devices, they won't provoke such a huge meaning given to it, and such a huge reaction to it. The reaction to these things is because they're about you, or you're doing it. If you could let a little, it's not changing the doing or what's happening, it's changing the idea of who's it or what is it happening to. If it's not happening to, you'll lose interest in it, a lot of it, and that interest doesn't go, it doesn't disappear. It's not like it vanishes, it goes somewhere else, maybe like in your day-to-day, enriching your day, instead of being used to enslave you to an idea of you yesterday and tomorrow. Would you put your money in a bank that gave you negative interest when another bank would give you positive interest and it would compound like weekly? I mean, it's going to be put into something. Who's running your portfolio? If it's the mental state, it's going to be stocks in you. I was you. I will be you. You'll be buying futures all fucking day. Try to sell it to some babe. Hey, you don't have any future. You don't have a job. You don't you know what I mean? Your commodity would be based on the market values. It's fucking insane. Instead, the interest is in what? I don't know. Spirit, what you call it. And now, its whole central office is based on where? Here and now. It doesn't deal in futures. It doesn't. It doesn't fucking have past portfolios. It's right now. Yeah. It's awake. That's fucking... And does it mean for you to have an enriched life, do you have to know you have an enriched life? Do you have to sort of categorize it? No. Like somebody who's in humility, they don't know they're in humility. I have these people coming to me, oh, I disappeared for a few weeks. Who's telling me that? You disappeared for a few weeks, you would have been the last one to report it. Someone else would have said, hey, Jim disappeared to you. Oh, no. You know, I mean, the fucking, the neutering of the living to be the one, always. So, that's it. Any questions today?
Oh, there's a text. Should I just...
No, leave it. Doesn't block anything. Yeah. I never read text anyway. All right, so no questions? We'll pass them. You want to get the basket, Chris? What happened to you?
Oh, running and tripping.
Oh, running and tripping.
Onto gravel.
Oh, yeah.
The pebbles.
Oh. You want to get, can you run to the thing and get the basket?
Don't trip this time.
Don't trip with the money. Trip before the money.
Trip before, but
Should
not...
I stop it?
But yeah, it's not.